Hello, everyone. Hi, welcome to the talk. I hope you're able to hear me, you're able to see me. Can I have some response? All right, great. Thank you, Priyanka, for letting me know. All right, perfect. So, welcome to the session. My name is Maitri Dalal, as you might already know. And I am going to share some tips and tricks on the writing task 2 for IELTS. And these are tips and tricks that you might find like everywhere. To be honest, IELTS material is available everywhere. But these are tips and tricks that I have acquired over a period of time, training a lot of students both in India and abroad. So, a little bit about myself before we begin. So, I am a TEFL certified trainer. TEFL is teaching English as a foreign language. I did it from Spain, Madrid, because I'm also a Spanish trainer. So, hola. and I got an opportunity to not only train Indian students here, but also people whose English was not their native language. Apart from that, here in India, I was also teaching English, Spanish, and IELTS. Have been training students for the last 3 years. And while training, and I myself, when I took IELTS, it was difficult for me at first. I personally did not have enough time to take training. That is when I came up with these tips and tricks, that would help me to crack or ace this exam, which is quite essential for. Hi, Shovik, estoy bien. ¿Cómo estás? There's somebody writing in Spanish. All right. So, yes, these tips and tricks are basically from my side, from what my struggles of acing IELTS. And I would really love to share them with you guys and see how you like it. All right. So, let's begin. Let's not waste a lot of time. Before I begin, I would just like to inform that we will have a question. Yeah, me too. I'm really excited, Preet. Thank you. Before we begin, yeah, so there'll be a question and answer session at the end of the talk. So it's for like 10 minutes or so. I would really request you guys to hold all your questions and, keep them for the end so that I can answer them quite nicely and peacefully. So, all right. First, we will just see the thing that I've prepared for you. All right. Okay, I'm going to share my screen and cross check whether you all can see it. All right. All set. Let's go. All right. Perfect. Let's go. I am as excited as as if we're doing something really, but yeah, it's just IELTS. Okay, all right. IELTS, International English Language Testing System, writing task 2, tips and tricks. Usually these tips and tricks, it really depends. Like these are tips and tricks for acing the IELTS writing task 2, where we are going to see how to use a correct structure. What are lexical resources? You might find this terminology a lot of times. What is this lexical resource that we're talking about? Time management, and most importantly, format. There is surely a difference between structure and format, so we're going to see that as well. All right. IELTS writing task 2 is not very difficult for, let's just say, 70 to 80% people. The students can surely they can manage IELTS writing task 2 usually. But what happens is that we feel that it's achievable. But when we start writing, that is when the real challenge, or apart from, yeah, academic essays that we've written or answers that we've written during our graduation period, apart from that, we don't really write in English. And this is when we realize that written English and spoken English is completely different. It's a different ballgame altogether. And that is why we face certain challenges while doing writing task 2. All right. Before we go into detail about writing out your academic IELTS writing section, right? You might have heard this information, might have read it a lot of times while preparing for IELTS. But what is the most important? Like, we've just, a small recap of how your IELTS academic writing section looks like. All right. So as you can see on the screen, the IELTS Academic, as you already know, has two tasks. It comprises of two tasks, all right, which you have to answer in 60 minutes. That is 1 hour, probably like one of the longest tasks or sections in IELTS. You're required to write 150 words for task one. Task one, completely different. I'm hoping to take a session on that as well in the future, which is for 20 minutes. And 250 words for task two, which is ideally, they suggest you to use 40 minutes for the same. Okay. What is the difference between writing task one and writing task two? All right. Writing task one is completely analytical in nature, where you have to probably describe a graph. So it's all graphs, all sorts of graphs that you used in geometry or in your algebra, sorry, in your school times. We are coming back to them. We're describing them, summarizing them, or giving information of what the graph illustrates. Okay. Writing task two is exactly opposite. It is a creative writer's, I don't know, wonderland, because this is where you get more freedom to write or put across your ideas or opinions, which is easier for us a lot of times. Okay, so writing task two is reflective in nature. It's very opinionated in nature, and it requires you to answer, like to present your point of view, or to argue based on your opinions and ideas, or probably give a solution to a problem. All right, we've seen a lot of types of tasks while dealing with IELTS task two. Usually, these are really like current affairs or social challenges that environmental challenges and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, writing task two doesn't seem difficult, but it gives you creative freedom. But surely the biggest challenge is what we're going to see later on. We'll talk about it. Okay. Now, something which is really, I come across these answers for writing task one and two. One, we don't have freedom to use different sorts of words, because we know it's quite strict in nature. But task two, I come across formats and structures used by students where the language is not that. Sometimes you have to refine the language that you're using, because you have to remember it's an exam and it's academic in nature. So it is advisable to use an academic, like I said, academic, semi-formal, or neutral style. What is this neutral style? What is semi-formal? Like, I don't really expect the student, or the examiner doesn't really expect the student to use extremely hi-fi language or jargons and stuff like that. But surely y'all can avoid contractions. What are contractions? Don't, can't. So yeah, these sorts of contractions can be avoided. You can write do not, cannot instead. Slang words, we are so used to it. We are so used to it because of you know uh, just normal WhatsApp language that we use. I have come across a lot of answers where we're not, it's not intentional, but students end up using it's pretty cool that in their example, for example, let's just say cool or chill, or all the slang words that we use while texting on WhatsApp. Now, the thing with WhatsApp is that, like, this kind of language is that this is when we use English the most. This is when we use like written English the most, apart from work emails and reports. So that is why it is good to avoid these type of words in your answer. And of course, repetition. Oh my god, like the amount of time I've repeated this to my students. Every time you are writing your answer, uh, avoid repetition. Use different words for each context. All right. So yeah, this is just like an introduction to the academic writing section. We will now go towards your writing task two. The entire talk is on this. Okay. Here's a sneak peek into IELTS writing task two. What does it consist of, and what should you like be expecting from it? 40 minutes, as it is always given on your question, like on your question paper or on the screen. You have 40 minutes, advisable to use it like that. Official word limit is 250 words. Again, a lot of students have doubts. Ma'am, how much should we write? Really, I mean, in 40 minutes, it is doable. It is quite doable to reach 250 and also beyond that. But how much is too much and how much is too less? Okay. The ideal word limit, according to me, like according to my experience of writing so many times and trying to figure out what is good in terms of band, in terms of time management, I feel that 270 to 290 words should be your target limit. Let's not go beyond 290. To be honest, the idea is to not give the IELTS examiner a chance to look at errors. The more you write, the more there are more chances for you to make errors, or there are more chances for repetition. All right, they've given us a safe limit of 250 words. It's good to be a little ambitious, but it's not going to be that great to be too ambitious about it. I'm a creative writer. Let's write page. No, let's keep it to 270 to 90, to 290 words, right? Now, what happens if I go beyond 290? Nothing happens. Nothing happens if you go beyond 290. There is no negative marking. What happens if I don't reach the 250 words limit? What if I don't have time? Well, in that case, please try to go to 50 at least. All right, to 60 to 70 is also fine. We will see how to manage your time accordingly. Okay. All right. Going to the next point is the type of tasks that you can expect in IELTS writing task 2. uh, you have come across all sorts of tasks: opinion based, discussion, disadvantage, advantage, agree, disagree. There's a direct question and they ask you your opinion. Then there are questions which require you to give solutions from your side. So these are the different type of tasks, different. But what I would say is that everything here, more or less, is opinion based. Okay, so it can work both ways. If you're a highly opinionated person, you might want to justify it with quite a lot of proof. But then if you're like somebody who's probably the question is not that great or is not that relatable, we might struggle a little bit as to what should I even what opinion should I build. There are some government related questions that I personally find really challenging. I'm like, I've never even thought about this. How am I supposed to give an opinion? So that is where your tips and tricks come in, which we will be seeing soon. Okay. Um, moving ahead, there are certain band markers for your writing task too. Now these band markers are common. They run across like it's common across your all your. So there's writing 1, writing 2, more or less in speaking as well. It revolves around this. Just the task response one is different. I will be taking. I am planning to take a session separately on how do I boost my score, keeping in mind these band markers. So today we're just going to see like an overview of them. This table you might have come across again a lot of times. A lot of trainers put this across, but why have I put it across here in tips and tricks? Is to show you how to like you have to be aware of these band markers, because it's a competitive exam at the end, and you cannot avoid or be unaware of these, because when you are writing you have to plan your answer accordingly. All right, there is first one is task response. How accurate is your answer to the question given? Okay, how relevant is it? This is usually it reflects, the task response reflects in your introduction and conclusion, so it's very important to put them. Then you have your coherence and cohesion, how well connected and how chronologically well set, or how well, or how fluid your answer is. All right, that has 25%. Then you have lexical resources. I've been using this term since the beginning. What is this lexical resource? Nothing. It's just vocabulary. It's all your English jargons. There's a vocab, there's adjectives, there's adverbs, and all the things that we find fancy. Let's try to incorporate them in the essay writing task too, because that is where you have the freedom to put. Okay. And the last band marker is grammar, very, very important. Correct grammar, punctuation, sentence structures, mm, again, like connectors, spellings, all of this is, I mean, it's obvious. I mean, it's an English exam. We have to take care of these. This is where a lot of students lose marks, apart from lexical resources, right? So these are your band markers. Again, like I said, a lot of things can be done if you're aware of these band markers. So very important. Okay. All right. Let's go to something which I have created for my students over a period of these 3-4 years. That a formula that I swear by, a formula that has worked for me like when I was taking my IELTS before going to Spain. Uh, and yeah, it is not, I don't know if it's life changing. You people can tell me if it is. But yeah, it's quite effective for a lot of students. Okay, let's go. Writing IELTS task 2, a formula I swear by. Oof, it looks like maths. Yeah, it does. I mean, there's a lot of formulas here, but let me put it this way. I always present writing tasks in IELTS and reading and listening as well. I mean, I put it across as like it's mathematics. IELTS is a very technical exam if you look at it that way. All right. So let's begin like with this entire formula. It looks overwhelming, but to trust me, when once you start using it, it's not going to be overwhelming at all. It's going to make your life easy. Time management, 2 to 3 minutes of preparation time. What is this rough sketch that I'm talking about? A lot of students adopt this method to make the task easier, for them to have a little bit of clarity in terms of ideas. They end up making like a rough sketch for their how do you say, like 2 to 3 points for each, like for introduction, for conclusion, what do I put in the main body. So please take 2 to 3 minutes for the same, so that you are not lost in the ocean, like you're not lost in the sea. What am I supposed to write next? Okay, so make sure that you are using your strategy for getting the rough sketch right. Okay, apart from that, next 25 to 30 minutes would consist of your main response, which is your essay, from introduction, main body to conclusion. All right, give good 30 minutes to it. Even if you are a fast typer or a fast writer, take some time. Look at your watch constantly, look at the clock constantly, and take some time to write your main response. And then please keep at least 3 to 4 minutes for checking your answer. Okay, in terms of time management, this is my time management system. There might be a different formula that you want to use, there might be a different method that you want to use. All right, but please keep some time for checking, because this checking time is going to decide which band you're going to get. There are surely going to be certain errors. Punctuation is the most common error. You forget your commas, you forget your full stops, and things go. Yeah. Well, so yeah, time management is important. If y'all want, y'all can drop a comment after the session and tell me, yes, please give us a session on time management for writing, and I'll do that. Okay, we can see how to do it. All right, structure, 4 to 5 paragraphs minimum. Four, please. Let's keep four. Let's make it look like an essay. All right, and maximum five, because we don't really, again, let us not give the examiner a time to look for more errors or a space for more errors. All right. Okay. How do you tackle introduction? Introduction has to be 1 paragraph. It should not be too long. Because it's an introduction, it is just setting your base, or giving a way to your main body or to your main points. Okay. Uh, the introduction can consist of one paraphrase. This word paraphrase, I'm sure you might have come across again a lot of times. What is paraphrasing, ma'am? I mean, I've never heard this word before. And even if I've heard, I don't know what is this para and what is this phrase. It's nothing. It's very similar to, it's just the technique of writing something in English differently, using different words, but keeping the meaning intact. So your introduction has to be from the question. Don't go anywhere else. Let your brain focus on the question given. Look at the sentences, change the words in your head, think of, brainstorm other words that you can use to write your first sentence. All right. And that will be your first sentence. Okay, for example, a lot of times some people believe that xyz is correct and some people believe that xyz is incorrect. Okay, for example, I recently came across this question that they used of, because there's a FIFA World Cup, which we just, oh my god, what a final. So we just saw like the FIFA World Cup thing, and there was this question where it said, some people, some citizens believe that hosting sports events like FIFA or however, it is beneficial for the economy of the country, while some people believe that it's not, because it creates a lot of it boosts a lot of traffic and a lot of other problems for citizens living there, local people. For a question like this, you can start by saying a lot of people, so a lot of citizens. If there's people given, you use citizens. Okay, if there's citizens given, you use localites or something of that sort. Just play with some words, basic words. Let's not be too ambitious about it. Okay. Paraphrase the main question. Then comes the major, like the one, this word connector. What's a connector? It connects two sentences together. While I say it so easily, it's not that easy to use connectors for 90% of the students because we're not used to it. One paraphrase of the main question plus one connector. You can use moreover, you can use in addition, additionally, just something to, add another point. This is optional. If you find it relevant, you can do it. All right. After that, take your stand. This is very important, depending on the kind of question that is asked. Take your stand in the introduction itself in one sentence. I highly agree that. I highly disagree that. In my opinion, I opine that. I believe that. Okay. Absolutely any phrase that can be used, go ahead, put your stand out there. This stand has to be decided before you start writing. You cannot go, like, you cannot write it on the spot, because it's going to make your answer irrelevant if you've not decided this yet. All right. So two sentences or max to max three sentences to form your introduction. Okay. Going ahead, the main body. Uh, Main body should ideally consist of 2 to 3 paragraphs. 2 paragraphs is good. 3 paragraphs is very good, depending on the planning of your answer. All right. I personally go ahead with the rule of two, the thumb rule of two. Uh, Elaborate on these two main points. What do I mean by thumb rule of two? Is take your, like, if you have an opinion about something, for example, okay, I believe that hosting FIFA World Cup in Qatar, okay, if I'm a citizen of Qatar and I believe that it's a very good idea. I mean, it's boosting my economy, it's giving a lot of job opportunities, but some people believe that it's, temporary. Take 2 points and elaborate on them using examples. Let's not complicate it more than that. Okay. uh, Taking 2 points has two advantages. One is that you're more clear, you have better examples, and second is that you have two fixed paragraphs for it. Point one, point two, simple. You can use firstly, secondly, you can use on one hand, on the other hand, depending on the kind of task. Okay. Present your point one, point two, then use a connector. This is how you can use connectors in your writing. uh, Again, if you all want another session, how do I use connectors? I am aware of all the lists that is there on the internet. How do I use it? Do drop a comment, or you can tell me in the Q&A section, and we'll surely schedule something of that sort for you as well. Right now, coming back, put a connector and put your supporting example. It does not have to be real. It can be a story, it can be something that you've made up on the spot. It's fine, as long as it is supporting your main point. Just say, for example, for instance, show it to the examiner, I am using it. A lot of times students forget using this connector, for example and for instance, and the examiner is a little lost. Okay, there is something with this, it's supporting it, but there's no structure to it. Okay, so in order to put a good structure, this is the trick that you use to tell the examiner, I am doing everything that you want me to do. All right. And then coming to your conclusion, one paragraph, again, 2 to 3 sentences. Let's not elongate it a lot. One paragraph to conclude, in conclusion, all in all, we'll see some words like that. plus paraphrase your introduction in other words, or just summarize whatever you've written. Summarize whatever you've written in the entire, like, you can probably use your 2 points and put them in some other words. You can put your opinion in other words. The most important is, let's not copy anything. Let's not copy the introduction just as it is. Let's not copy sentences from the main body. Use new words every time you repeat. Again, another tip: every time you repeat a word, it's not going to be counted. It's going to go only it will only be counted once. That's the logic of using different and new words. Okay, and let's not use advanced vocab. It's fine. Like 2 3 advanced vocabulary or 4 to 5 advanced vocab is fine, but let's make sure that we're using new words every time to present the same points. This is where you require the practice of writing. You should practice quite a lot before you take your main exam, only for this purpose. How do I paraphrase things, right? Okay, so this is your formula for IELTS writing task 2 that I personally used, and well, a little bit of boasting. I got 8.5 when I took my IELTS. Surely nowadays things are quite difficult. Things are stricter. When I took my IELTS about 5 years ago, or 7 years, 5 or 6 years ago, I don't know, it was uh, I wouldn't say lenient, but it was achievable. All right. Today you have to work a little more harder, like more hard than what I did. But I think this it's sorted, right? You can tell me in the feedback after the session with how do you find this formula. Okay. All right. I'm just gonna take a quick glance. All right. Okay. Let's go. After looking at the formula of, okay, I know where to start. I know where to end. I saw there is this word connector somewhere, but how do I use it? But before I know how to use it, I should know what are these connectors. Okay, use as many connectors as possible, but don't cram your answer. Like, don't put a lot of connectors in your answer. Probably I would say like 2 to 3 connectors or 3 to 4 connectors will make your answer look nice. It'll look acceptable, and also it will help you connect points better, which is very important for cohesion and coherence, that band marker. Okay. All right, so to begin, as you can see, you have to begin with, generally, normally. My personal favorite is firstly, secondly, if at all, I have the option of putting points or stating opinions in a chronology. Next is to add information. I have additionally, moreover, in addition, furthermore, not only but also, as well as. My personal favorite and the most doable is moreover and additionally. I like to put it everywhere. Also, of course, we cannot repeat it a lot of times, but it's fine. And these are the connectors that students remember the most because they are easy. Furthermore is also nice. Okay. To give examples, for instance, for example, also a very simple word like or such as, very basic ones. But what happens is, while writing, it doesn't immediately come to you. You have to be aware of it. You have to be aware of these words in order to use them. Okay. And then to show contrast, when especially when you have to present two sides, that kind of a task, present both sides and state your opinion. Okay, so in such tasks it's good to plan your answer in on one hand, and then second paragraph goes on the other hand. Okay, then you have despite of, however, is a very useful connector. Again, I personally remember this the most. In spite of, although and even though, absolutely, again, very very useful connectors. Very basic, very useful, and easy to remember. Okay, results and causes. Due to, because is the, of course, because is the most used. Owing to, very fancy sometimes when when you're writing it, oh my god, I'm using owing to, but it's again very useful. Consequently, for result, as a result of, therefore, hence, and thus. Out of all of these, again, I think students remember, uh, of course, because is a personal favorite. Therefore and hence, therefore, hence, and thus. I think this is good for your concluding kind of a thing. All right. Opinion, very important for opinion based tasks, which is agree, disagree, advantage, disadvantage. What do you think of so and so? All right. I highly agree or disagree. I truly believe that. I opine that seems new when you listen to it, but when you're writing it, it's quite formal in nature. It's good, and in my opinion, okay, easy ones. I've tried to put the ones that students remember the most. Like, this is from my experience. If you browse IELTS material, you will find a lot of tables with different kinds of connectors. But do we really have time to mug this all up? No. This is only going to come with practice. Your tip and trick for linking phrases is what it's called, connectors in simple words. Your tip for this is, don't be too ambitious for IELTS writing essay 2. Do what is doable for you. Like, do what you can remember. Try to, like, be aware when you are writing, I have to put this here. All right, that is how, while practicing, you will incorporate connectors. Otherwise, no amount of webinars or textbooks or anything of this going to help you. You have to select your own connectors, make them your best friends. Tell yourself, okay, I'm going to use moreover, I'm going to use furthermore, I'm going to use in my opinion for this. Keep it the same for all your practice essays. This is how in the final exam you'll be able to use them. Keep them the same. All right, don't experiment a lot. Okay. In conclusion, all in all, my personal favorite is to conclude. It's simple and it's I can remember it well. Okay. All right. Oof. I'm just gonna sip some water. Going towards the last slide is how to boost your score with complex yet uncomplicated sentences. Uh, this is a topic which can be taken quite in detail. Again, if you all want this to be taken, what is this complex sentence and all of that? Do tell me in the comments or here. Hi, I sound like a YouTuber. Anyway, please tell me so that I can surely do something. Like, I can schedule something about it. Okay. Complex sentences. When you use complex sentences, you are assuring, it'll ensure that you're getting a 7 plus band at least. Okay, depending on how many sentences you've used, depending on how well you have used them. It is a trick, or it is a technique that takes time to master, but you can surely begin somewhere. Okay, so complex is not equal to complicated or fancy sentences. I don't have to be Shakespeare. No, but complex sentences are just like two simple sentences combined together using certain grammatical techniques. Right. So the first one is like using relative pronouns, keeping the grammar aside, the grammar jargon aside, relative pronouns. It's basically that, which, who, whose. Taj Mahal. There are two separate sentences. Taj Mahal is beautiful. It is situated in Agra. How? The two sentences, I want to sound impressive. I want to make an impression. I'm saying, I'm clubbing them together. I'm saying Taj Mahal, which is situated in Agra, is beautiful. You use commas, you use which to combine two sentences, and uh, it shows your ability to like put across your statements in lesser space and use better words. All right, then you have conjunctions. You can use conjunctions, for example, subordinate clause, subordinators: while, unless, whether, when, through, although, even though. A lot of them we use them. We do use them while speaking, we do use them while writing, but when we are doing IELTS, in that exam pressure, it's easy to forget all of this. So it's important for you to be aware, to note it down. Okay, I'm going to try and use these words to make complex sentences. Although scoring high in this IELTS exam is difficult, I will try my best. Okay, two separate sentences. Scoring high in IELTS is difficult. Full stop. I'll try my best. Combining with although. Third is, according to me, is ing words or gerunds at the beginning, words with end with ing. For example, running for 30 minutes in the morning can boost your mood and make you feel energetic. Again, so I've just used and here, I've used running here, combining sentences like that. A lot of examples can be given similarly. uh, there are more techniques of using, how to make complex sentences, but these three, I feel, when I was, again, when I was dealing with IELTS, these three I found quite doable. Like, I remembered when, okay, can I use who here, the guy who is from Spain, for example, or something of that sort. Okay, so these three techniques I personally found quite useful. Again, if you all want like a longer session on how to make complex sentences or use them in your IELTS writing, you can surely let me know, and I look forward to scheduling them for you. Okay. Whew. It's time's running quick. All right, so that was about your IELTS writing task too. Just to encap, like to summarize, I think the most important thing that you can take away from this webinar is how to manage your answer, and how to manage your time, uh, using certain easy tricks, certain connectors in complex sentences are pluses. These are going to boost your score, but how do you first, make sure that you're getting your personal score is beyond like the one that you want, is by getting to this particular format. I think this is really important in terms of tricks to get your answer right, because if you remember it like a mathematical formula, you know where to put pot. So remember that even if it's creative in nature, your writing task is creative in nature, you have to make sure that you're holding yourself back. Let's not go beyond 300 in terms of word limit. And how will you ensure that you're not going beyond 290 or 300, or at least writing 250, is by making sure that your structure is clear in your head. So practice your next answer with a timer. Always put a timer and have a rough sketch. Okay. All right. So, thanks for attending the talk. There's some YouTuber like stuff written here, but yeah, please stay tuned and follow my profile. I am going to listen to you, whatever you're going to tell me now, and I am going to try and schedule more talks for you. Drop comments if you've liked. I again YouTube. Drop comments if you've liked the webinar, the Nebula talk, and I'm surely going to meet you soon. Now we're moving. It's not over yet. We have some time. We're going to move towards Q&A, question and answers. If you guys have any doubts, think about it, and I'll be here. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. Okay. All right. 1 second. All right. I have some questions here. Let me just answer them, address them one by one. Anusha, you're saying you want a time management during exam time course. Okay, sure. All right. I will note it down and I will try to schedule a separate session for you where we can do how to manage time. Okay. Is six good? It's six bands good in IELTS writing. It absolutely depends on your band, on other bands, and on your university requirement. I think you should aim for 6.5 minimum. All right. Because again, you want an average score which is good, but some universities also require that you have 7 bands in each section and stuff like that. I think 6.5 should be your minimum, your goal, if specified otherwise from your university. Can I retake? Amber is saying, can I retake IELTS writing only? I wish that was possible. I do have, like, I've heard that they might start this system, but I'm not really sure if it's on in India yet. Okay, so if at all you have lesser bands in IELTS writing, you might have to, like, you will have to take the entire exam again. Okay. Priyanka, can you share examples of the most asked essay questions in IELTS writing task 2? Surely, I will note that, and I will share them for you. Okay. Um, Arka Prabha, hi. How can I retain useful vocabulary from the books I read? Ooh, nice question. Very nice. I personally had this habit while I was preparing for IELTS. If I read something, or if I purposely read newspapers or read articles on internet, and which were related to the writing task questions that usually come in IELTS writing task 2. Okay, so the popular questions. So what I did was I noted them down in a small diary. For example, words like which were related to environmental challenges, government rules, all right, and then I used to try to make sentences out of it, to remember, to retain it in my head. So before using it for an IELTS essay, it is important that you use it in your real life, like once at least. Make a sentence out of it. Whatever word you come across in newspapers and books, I'm advising you to please read while you are preparing for IELTS, and make a list of these words. Let it not be too long, and make sentences out of it. I think it will be really helpful for you to retain it then. Okay. Can I combine two IELTS scores? Tushar is asking. Um, I'm not sure. Can you please elaborate on the question again? Can you combine two IELTS score? I'm not sure if I understood the question right. Can you please like reframe it? Anusha is asking, what is the word limit in IELTS writing task 2 essay? Like I mentioned in the PPT or the session that I had, your word limit, they advise you to keep minimum of 250 words. And then based on the time that you have, based on the question, you can take it longer. You can make it like 270 or 290 words. There is no upper limit. Okay. But surely it is advisable to write 270 to 290. Okay. All right. Anything else that the students want to know? Anything that you want me to cover next? Okay. Any other doubts? I'm gonna be here. Hmm. I think I've covered all the questions that have been posted here. Ooh, I'm too close to the screen. Um, okay, I think we're good to go. All right, okay. I don't know. Did y'all like the session? Any feedback? Oh, I have a question. Amber has started. Does the writing task 2 questions get repeated in the IELTS exam? Ooh, they do. They do repeat, but surely the terminologies might be different. The theme can be similar, but not exactly like I think I haven't come across questions which have been like copy pasted from a previous exam. That will make things quite, because they know that a lot of students prepare using a lot of material which is common on the internet and on all these resources. So I though they don't copy them, I think there'll surely be like a lot of times I have observed that some questions in speaking task 2 and 3, they are used in IELTS writing task 2 and vice versa. So this is a good, I think it's a very good question because it reminded me of how I always told my students that uh, when you are doing a speaking task 2 and 3, be aware of, like, make sure that you remember these topics because sometimes they do use them in IELTS writing task 2 and, otherwise. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for attending. I think we'll stop here and I'm going to meet you soon, depending on your feedback. Please leave comments. I mean, I think, or you can just, even message me. I think they do have a system of messaging. Contact me, tell me what you want, any other help that you need. I will surely. I am planning to come up with live sessions and classrooms and other webinars and a lot of. I have a lot of information in this head to give for IELTS. All right. So I am looking forward to meeting you all again. And thank you for whoever's attended and taken some time out. And all the best. All the best if you have your IELTS soon. Okay. Don't panic. It's an exam eventually. And using these tips and tricks, I think you should just try writing once using this. All right. And see if it is helping you. I would love constructive feedback as to, which is it. Okay. All right. All right. Yeah. Thank you so much.